Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala ibadihi allazina istafa khususan ala afdalihim wa khatamin nabiyyin Muhammadin al-amin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. When Israel assumes Pax Judaica and the electronic monetary system replaces the petrodollar monetary system, I envisage that the rope around our necks will become tighter and tighter, and that the descent into slavery will be accelerated. Indonesia is so miserably poor. Millions of Indonesian women who are our daughters have to work as slaves in Singapore and elsewhere with the salary of a slave. I have spoken on this again and again. If you are Singaporean, don't be angry with me, because in your grave you will have to answer. You will have to answer. If you have an employee and you pay that employee the salary of a slave, you will have to answer for it in the grave. Yes. If no Singaporean woman will work for that wage that the Indonesian slave works for, that's oppression. And Allah does not have any tolerance for oppression. So the oppressor will pay for it in the grave. Is there slavery in Akhirul Zaman? Is that what the world is coming to? When electronic money replaces the petrodollar? Yes. When the angel Gabriel, Jibreel alayhi salam, came and met with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, you remember in the masjid? He came in the form of a human being and he asked 5 questions. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam answered the 5 questions, then he left. And then the Prophet turned and asked his companion, do you know who he was? They said, Allah and His Messenger know best, we don't know. And then he said, that was Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel Gabriel, who came to teach you your religion. The last of the 5 questions was about the signs of the last day. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam gave 2 signs. One of them was slavery. He said that a slave woman will give birth to her mistress. We do not have the time today to expand and explain what we've done in previous lectures, an interpretation of this prophecy that a slave woman will give birth to her mistress. But this hadith indicates to us that there is slavery at the end of history. And I anticipate that the electronic monetary system will take us to that slavery. The electronic monetary system is targeting all of mankind, as the petrodollar system did. But now I want to explain to you that amongst all of mankind is one special group who are specially targeted. Who are they? Answer: the Arabs. This is because they are the greatest immediate threat to Israel, the Arabs. And the Prophet, Allah's blessings be upon him, prophesied the destruction of the Arabs. He was asleep. This is a hadith of Sahih Bukhari. He was asleep at the home of his wife Zainab radiyallahu ta'ala anha. And he saw something in his dream. It was a vision. It was terrible. And he woke up with his face flushed red. And he woke up with the words, Waylul lil Arab min sharrin qad iktaraba. Woe unto the Arabs, because of a great evil which is now approaching. What evil did he see? He then raised his hands like this, and he said, today a hole has been made. Today, have you heard the word? Today, today, today. Today a hole has been made in the radam. Radam? Radam is the barrier built in the form of a dam, built by Zulkarnain to contain Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog, of course, are in the Quran. And if you do not know who are Gog and Magog, you are neglecting the Quran. What Zulkarnain did in the language of a game called chess is to checkmate Gog and Magog, who are vicious people who perpetrate facade, corrupting and destroying everything. So by building this barrier in the form of a dam, they are contained, they cannot come out. So long as they are there behind that barrier, that dam, the world is safe. When will they come out? The Quran says, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّاءَ. Allah will bring down that barrier one day, and Gog and Magog are going to be released into the world. When will Allah bring it down? When will Allah bring down the barrier and release Gog and Magog? Who will answer that question? Is it the Hadith or is it the Quran? Who have priority? Who has absolute authority? Where is absolute truth located? Is it in the Hadith or is it in the Quran? Answer: you must always go to the Quran first, not to the Hadith. And it's only when a Hadith is in harmony with the Quran that you accept the Hadith. But if a Hadith is in conflict with the Quran, you put it aside. If a Hadith is neither in harmony nor in conflict with the Quran, you will accept it, but you give it a lower status. Yes. So when will Allah bring down the barrier? The answer, of course, is in the Quran. But Allah will bring them down, and after they are brought down into released from that barrier, they will spread out in all directions and take control of the world with their power. And when that happens, then you will see that the people who belong to a town, the town was destroyed by Allah. This is the Quran. And they were expelled from the town. That you see those people being brought back to that town. Gog and Magog will bring them back. This is the Quran in Surah Al-Anbiya. We're not going to Hadith, we're going to Quran. And which town is it? The town is Jerusalem. If it's not, then tell me who it is. So the Prophet ﷺ now has a vision. And in that vision he sees that Gog and Magog are released. The release has commenced. It'll take a long time before they spread out and take control of the world. It'll take a long time before the Jews are brought back to the Holy Land, brought back to take control of Jerusalem, brought back to restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land, brought back so that Israel could now try to become the ruling state in the world. It'll take a long, long time. But when were they released? When? He says, it was in his lifetime that the release took place, that the barrier was brought down. In his lifetime. Today, he said, Allah has made a hole in the barrier. Gog and Magog will now be released. And this is bad news for the Arabs in particular. So the monetary system is only part of the overall attack on the Arabs. But this part of the attack on the Arabs is meant to enslave them. So when he said, وَيْلٌ لِلْعَرَبْ مِنْ شَرٍّ قَدْ اقْتَرَبَ, woe unto the Arabs because of a great evil which is now approaching them. She asked, this is Zainab radiallahu ta'ala, أَنُهْلَكُ وَفِينَا الصَّالِحُونَ, will we be destroyed, we Arabs, would we be destroyed even though there are righteous people amongst us? Even though there are righteous people amongst us? He said, Na'am. Naam. The Arabs are going to be destroyed, even though there are righteous people amongst them. When will they be destroyed? He said, إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبَثِ. When rubbish prevails, then the Arabs will be destroyed. We are now in the age of the rubbish. The most dangerous part of the rubbish or the garbage is the monetary system. That monetary system is enslaving the Arabs, putting some Arabs onto the gravy train, the petroleum one, and the rest of the Arabs increasingly being destroyed. And so we now ask ourselves, if we are to respond to this immensely dangerous challenge in the world of money, what do we do? This lecture points out that one possible response is to make our money redeemable in gold. When Indonesia became independent, President Ahmad Sukarno called in the ulama and asked them about the status of paper money. And they explained to him that the paper money would be halal provided that it is redeemable in gold. That's what they said to him. I don't know whether the ulama in Indonesia remember that today, but that's what the ulama told Sukarno, that if the paper money is redeemable in gold, it's halal. And Sukarno actually fixed that so much paper money will be equal to so much in gold, and you could take your paper money and you can get the gold. That's why they had to kill him. He had to be removed. If you attempt to do that now, to have your paper money redeemable in gold, first of all, you'll have to have enough gold. And they have done everything they could possibly do to control all the gold reserves of the world. But Allah can always bring more gold into the world. Yes. One of the prophecies of Akhir Zaman is that the earth will vomit from its liver columns of gold and silver. So new gold coming into the world. So they can't control all the gold in the world. If one country in the world is able to make its currency redeemable in gold, their whole system collapses. Everything will collapse. At this time, perhaps the only people who can do that, who have the power to do it, would be Russia and China. May Allah take these words of mine to the Russian government, to the Chinese government, that you take your BRICS, your alternative monetary system, and seek to find a way in which you can make your money redeemable in gold. The second response that we have to share with you is that which we have said again and again and again and again, that in the Sunnah you can monetize commodities of food consumption, like rice, and use rice as money. And in this way, you will extricate yourself from that electronic monetary system which is meant to enslave you. But now we turn to a third response, and that is that nothing can be done in the world of Islam. Nothing can succeed in the world of Islam unless and until we get the scholars of Islam to support it. So the time has come for me to ask you. I'm an old man now, I'm 74 years of age, I'll soon be 75. I don't know how much time there is left before Allah calls me away. But wherever you are in the world, and these words of mine were to reach you, and you're a Muslim, even if you're not a Muslim, go to the scholars of Islam, wherever they are, and you can meet them, and ask them, this money that we're now using, we don't see this money in the Quran, we don't see it in the Sunnah. It's new, it's never been used before. Is this money halal or is it haram? Ask him. If Imran Hosein is wrong, please tell us what is right. Go to every scholar of Islam you can meet and put this question to them. And tell them, when you give me your answer, I want you to know that I want to use your answer publicly. I'm not speaking to you privately. I don't want any answer given to me in privacy. No, we want an answer that can be publicly revealed to the public. So this is a call I'm making today to you. I'm just one solitary voice, but Allah can take this voice many places. Go to the scholars of Islam and demand from them a response. Before I end, let me say that having studied Islamic eschatology, I have come to the conclusion that it is only a Khilafah state that has the power ready to be able to defy this bogus monetary system and restore dinar and dirham as money today. Only a Khilafah state. And what is a Khilafah state? I have a lecture coming soon, inshallah, entitled Iqbal, Pakistan and the Khilafah state, in which I hope to be able to explain what is a Khilafah state. But to be brief, a Khilafah state is a state in which God's law is supreme. And that's what Israel wants to do. That's what the Jews want to do. They want to establish a state in the Holy Land in which the law of the Torah is the highest law. What Nabi Muhammad ﷺ established in Medina was also a Khilafah state. The law in that state, Allah's law in the Quran is the highest law. Allah's law in the Torah, Allah's law in the Quran is the same law. Except that sometimes there's something called naskh, or cancellation and abrogation. And for that I'd like you, can I give me a copy please of methodology? I would like you to take a look at my book on methodology for the study of the Quran, so that you'll be able to use that book to understand the subject of cancellation and abrogation, where one law in the Torah is cancelled and replaced by another law in the Quran. Methodology for the study of the Quran. A Khilafah state is not only a state in which Allah's law is the supreme law, but also it has to be a state, of course, where there is no authority and no law higher than Allah's law. So a Khilafah state cannot be a member state of the United Nations. A Khilafah state cannot be a member state of the International Monetary Fund. No. A Khilafah state has to be a state in which the supreme authority is Allah's. And that's what they want to do with the state of Israel. That's what they want to do. We hope and we pray that the lecture which is to come on Iqbal, Pakistan and the Khilafah state would explain the subject. And inshallah that a movement can be launched to try to restore the Khilafah state, in which we'll be able to effectively deal with the bogus monetary system. So long as Gog and Magog took control of the world, it's not possible to restore a Khilafah state, and therefore to break the back of this bogus monetary system. You can't do it. However, the war which is coming, the nuclear war, is going to break the back of Gog and Magog. Yes. How do I know that? Because the next event to take place after the war, the great nuclear war, is the conquest of Constantinople. And if Constantinople is to be conquered, the implication is Gog and Magog no longer have the power to resist. No. As a consequence, I've come to the conclusion that it is possible for us, as never before in the last few hundred years, it is possible for the last 100 years, it is possible for us to now restore the Khilafah state. An effort can be made to restore the Khilafah state in the wake of the nuclear war which is coming. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may take these words of mine to those of you around the world who agree with me that this is a bogus monetary system and we ought to respond to it authentically. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.